Hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast, season 5, episode 6 for Sunday, June 6, 2021. I'm Jason. That's me.
Yo, what's up?
So we're filming this on a Saturday. We normally film this Sunday and release on Sunday. Lately it's been like super late Sunday night because I'm slow. But there's a possibility that Neil may have to go into his real work tomorrow, so we have to do this a day early.
Yeah, I do have some work I have to do, unfortunately. So I asked Jason if today was okay, and he said, "Yep, no problem." So
we don't have the benefit of Saturday night hockey, which sometimes can be a lot of things. Like there's only 2 games on tonight, but a lot of news gets released.
Yes, that's
on
true.
Saturday night, so we don't have access to the latest updates. Maybe so by the time this releases, some of the stuff we're saying in it may be out of date, may not be, but a lot of this podcast is going to be just us having a discussion. So
Absolutely,
it shouldn't really affect too much. So
and it, like you said, it is Saturday, but it's around 2 p.m. our time, so none of the games have even started yet.
That's right. So
there's so much to discuss.
This is the biggest pages of notes I've ever had for this podcast.
There's 10 pages.
There's 10 of them. Normally it's 2 to 4.
And I just have to applaud you for going through. I literally added nothing to these notes.
No, I started early in the week, and I was like, I'm just going to stay on topic because that was the original plan of our shared document was when you hear something, just throw it in there, and then you remember, and then you can fill it out later if you want to.
Yeah.
So I was doing good this week with that.
I have not been doing good since we started this podcast back up. I apologize, and
No,
I
it's
thank
all right.
you for absolutely destroying these notes in a good way.
So we're going to go through a lot today. For the people on the audio listener, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to put the topics in the description with the time code on them.
Oh,
because
okay.
I don't know if this one's going to be extra long.
Probably.
I could say that and then it could end up being short. We could just fly right through this. I don't want to say it's going to be long, but it has the potential of being long.
It does, yeah.
So I will put in the topics and the time codes on the audio side of things, which I've never done before. And on YouTube, I'll probably put it in the description so that the bar splits up.
That's awesome.
Based on that.
I like that. I like when channels do that. I don't do that.
And then if we do sub clips, I might remove those. I don't know. No, I probably wouldn't. Anyway, sub clips, I'm not even thinking about that right now. So I want to start off with, okay, before we get into the podcast, is there anything on a personal nature you want to get into?
On a personal nature, I don't think so. I may have personal things to talk about next weekend.
Okay.
But I don't think right now.
Okay.
I think it's too early.
I don't think I do either, so
yeah.
I think we're good to jump right in. News of the week. Let's jump right in. The biggest story of the week, obviously the Mark Sheifele suspension.
Yes, for you visual YouTube people, I got the Sheifele jersey in the background there.
So I'm sure everyone here is aware. There may be like 5 people that aren't, but Neil released 2 videos on this topic.
I did actually.
Within 24 hours of each other.
Interesting decision by myself.
I don't know if it's 35 minutes or 40 minutes, but combined, it's probably close to...
Yeah, it's probably about 35 minutes of the kind of discussion. Did you watch them?
I did.
Okay, good.
And I told you on a chat that I was like, this is going to be the first time I disagree with you because I just read your topic and it was like, you changed your mind. And I was like, I'm not changing my mind. That's a dirty hit.
Yeah.
Now, it sucks because I kind of agree with your video in a way. But we'll get into this. I don't want to just talk about your video because...
We will talk about the video, but let's...
Okay, so...
You do you. You preface it or whatever.
So basically, the 4 games... Okay, well, let's talk about the suspension first. What do you think about the 4 games?
I thought it was perfect.
I thought it was perfect as well. I thought this was one of the rare times the Department of Player Safety got it right. And if everything could be based on relative to this, things would be much better.
Yeah, I think I said in I think it was the second video near the end or possibly in the middle.
No, you said you think he's going to get 2, maybe 4.
Yeah, I was thinking like 2 to 4.
I thought 2
like
because...
But I originally thought 8 in the first video that I made because I was pretty emotional.
I never ever thought 8. I thought 2.
And now that I approached it logically, 2 to 4 seems very reasonable to me. So I thought 4 was, again, very reasonable. So.
And I think 4, I have this in my notes later. No, I'm not going to jump ahead. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, and then we'll talk about it after. So you've probably heard him already. If you haven't, I don't know what to tell you. He's got 2 videos on his channel. Go check him out. And he'll probably talk about some of them after I'm done.
I will actually have more things to say that I should have said in the second.
Okay, so first off, this topic absolutely exploded on social media. So if you're on Twitter or YouTube or anything like that,
it was a firestorm.
It was a firestorm.
It was
literally
absolutely insane. And
I have in my notes that it was everyone had their own opinion and it was black or white.
Oh yeah.
There was no gray area. Everyone was either throw the book at this guy. This was a dirty play. It doesn't matter that he's, a good player and he has no prior history.
Yeah.
We got to take that hit out of the game. And then you have the other group of people that are like, Evan should have had his head up and he was making a hockey play trying to prevent a goal.
I can't remember a play that's been so black and white like that. So polarizing.
But you know what's the bad part is I'm in the gray area.
I am now too. Now that I
I've always been in the gray area though. Like when that hit happened, I sent you a message right away. I said brutal. That's all I said, and you were pissed. And you wrote me back, and he's like, "Dude, I am pissed." And I wasn't pissed. Like I got no skin in the game. That's not my team. Like now, if that was like a guy hitting like Bergeron or something like that, yeah, I probably would have been pretty pissed too. But
I think I wasn't even really necessarily pissed at Sheifele. I think it came across that way, obviously, in the first video. But I was pissed at the situation. I was pissed that for the second time in 2 weeks, I'm sitting here potentially watching someone die on the ice.
Yep.
And that it just affected me. I don't know why it did, but it was just really difficult for me to watch.
And Carlo had a close encounter in the third game in the Boston series too.
He did.
He kind of stumbled and got up, and like it wasn't as bad. It could have been worse, but he kind of got his head knocked in the boards.
He was trying to get up, but
we've had three people with kind of and Carlo's out now, and he's probably not playing tonight.
Yeah, I actually thought that hit was okay.
The Carlo hit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally fine. It's just he hit his head on the glass or the
and has
when he went
prior
in.
history, I believe.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my biggest takeaway. Was like, wow, this is a crap storm. This is very one-sided on both sides. So we're gonna take heat today.
It doesn't matter what we say.
I understand that. Like,
yeah,
there's gonna be people in these comments that are absolutely ragging on us, and there's gonna be people that agree with us. And unfortunately, I'm one of the people in life that tries not to have people that don't like me. Like I try to.
Yeah, that's normal.
This is an issue where people are gonna take aim with what I get to say because of their own opinion, and that's fine. You can have your own opinion, but
please have your own opinion. Just leave it respectfully. Once you start to name call and do all that other stuff, it just removes like the validity from your argument because you're taking the easy route, making fun of someone. Like if you want someone to take you seriously and take your opinion seriously, be respectful about it. Be logical. Come across as a lawyer as much as you can, and people will take you seriously. Like that seems silly, but like it's the truth.
Like social media is getting, and I'm including YouTube when I say this because it's, it's comments. Any place that online you comment is a social media because that's what it is, and it's always been bad. Like I guess when the internet first came out. Like we're old now. When the internet first came out, it was different. Like people weren't like that.
No, they weren't.
And now it's like that because you can say whatever you want. It's been like that for a long time, but it is getting worse. Like, did you see the picture today that Marc-Andre Fleury's wife put out?
No.
So his 5-year-old daughter, I believe, I don't think it was a son, 5-year-old kid, drew a picture of him.
I did see that picture.
Yeah, and it said, "Save all the goals, whatever," and he had a picture of him in the net.
Yep.
Did you read the comments on that picture?
No, I didn't.
It was like, Fleury's wife's just looking for attention, so she tweets this picture out. Yeah, well, your dad still lost the game, couldn't stop the puck. Oh, well, this, what? Like, there was not a positive thing about the 5-year-old drawing that picture.
I think there's a difference between chirping and trolling.
Like, how many people on Facebook will post pictures of their kids or funny things their kids do or anything? Like, people will go to a store and say, "Hey, I'm going into the store," or "Look what I got," and post a picture of a shirt or something. Like, there's people on Facebook that literally post everything they do in their real life.
Yeah.
And then Fleury's child, I think it's a daughter, but I'm not sure for sure, makes that picture, and the mom's like proud of it, like, "Hey, look at this," puts it out there, and she's getting hate for it because she's attention seeking. Like, seriously. And that's kind of what we're dealing with on this issue too. Like, it's just like people don't care anymore. Like,
keyboard warriors.
Totally.
Yeah.
I already said this, but I thought the 4-game suspension was appropriate.
Yep.
I said NHL does not want these type of hits in the game. It was predatory. It was unnecessary. I think unnecessary is the biggest word I have. Is this hit did not need to happen.
Exactly.
And this hit would not happen in the regular season.
Yes.
This is a playoff hit.
Yes, 100%. I agree. Yep.
And then I had this written down before I watched your video, but it's kind of what you said in the video, and it's what Department of Player Safety actually said too. Scheifele didn't try to play the puck.
It was so obvious.
Like, I even posted a picture in the game chat on our Discord when it happened, and it was one of the ones that you said in your second video that was the most important, where Evans is still coming around the net with the puck on his stick, and Scheifele's got his eyes locked on the player and not on. And when you actually watch that whole sequence back, Scheifele stops skating well in advance of getting to the net.
He does.
So it's almost like he knows he has to stop skating at that point if he's going to lay the hit. So I think by then he's already planning to lay the hit.
Yeah.
And I actually think if he would have skated as hard as he could, he might have been able to stop that puck.
100%. If he had to continue to skate.
Because he blew by number 4, whoever number 4 is.
I think it was Ehlers.
Okay, it might have been. Whoever was there, he blew by them.
Yeah.
And it's like the hit is 3/4 of the way done, and that number 4 is still skating trying to get that puck. So it's just like, I don't know. And Scheifele was frustrated all game. It was obvious.
Yeah, he
just had a bad night. and it just didn't go well for him. So in terms of the hit, you're probably right. It's probably a clean hit. And Paul Maurice came out yesterday and was defending him, saying, listen, I know it was a hard hit. There's no doubt about it. And it is a hard hit. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, didn't leave the skates. I don't know.
Here's the thing. I think when you say this was a clean hit, people think you're talking about the entire situation. I don't think the entire situation was clean.
No, it's not.
I think the actual physical part of the hit,
yes,
where he laid the hit in the top of the shoulder and didn't leave his feet, I think the physical part of the hit was not dirty.
But the charging part,
part,
and that's what they nailed him for.
The decision, that was the dirty part. That was the unnecessary part, and that's what I have a problem with.
Yes,
and unnecessary.
And he could have potentially stopped the goal if he just would have kept skating because he was flying.
Exactly.
And Ehlers, this is the thing, or not Ehlers. The thing I have an issue about Evans is I think Evans knew he was there because when he comes down the left boards by himself and he starts taking that first round in the corner, he does the flick head to the right. Yeah. He sees who's coming on him, and he's just thinking, all right, I'm ahead of them. I'm putting this in. He doesn't expect the hit. Because he thinks he's ahead of it.
And like I said, keep your head up.
And this is a relatively young guy too in terms of in the league. Like
that's correct. He's 25,
and he has one head injury before. Is that true, or one bad hit or something?
Concussion, if I'm not mistaken. At least 4. At least his 4th.
So on that point of view, he needs to learn a lesson here.
Exactly, and that's the problem that people have a comment with. Either you saying keep your head up. We're not saying that and victim blaming. That is not what this is about. This is on the players.
No,
okay. Nothing will change unless the players of the NHL actually decide to not lay those hits anymore.
And they don't want it to change.
And some of them don't want it to change. So keep your head up isn't saying, oh, watch out, you're going to get hit. It's not about the fans. It's about the other players. Like you have to understand that the game of hockey hasn't changed to the point where those hits aren't out of the game. And it's not on us. It's on the players. So the rest of the players, you have to keep your head up. Like that's not an offensive saying. It's just reality. It's just life.
And another thing is it's hard to believe that a player can make it to the NHL without knowing to keep their head up.
Yeah.
Like he has to know that. He does know that. He looked to see who was coming when he rounded the boards. Like it's just a quick little, and then he just thinks he's ahead of it and he has time. And he ends up not having time.
That's not even a hockey saying. Like that applies to football, lacrosse, every physical sport you could say that about. You need to be aware of your surroundings regardless of where you are on the ice. In the first video, I said, maybe not in that situation, but then I backtracked on that. And in the second video, I said, you have to keep your head up everywhere on the ice. My thing was, he just wasn't expecting that hit at that time.
No, he wasn't. And you could tell by the way his skates were that he didn't have a way to brace that hit either.
Yeah, that's what made it really bad.
Yeah.
He didn't brace for it at all.
So it's not... If you look at the physical part of that hit, like you broke down from like pictures like 6 on or whatever, like not the first part, that's not why he got suspended.
Yeah.
He got suspended for the entire thing.
Exactly.
And I agree with it. And don't base it on other suspensions that have gone out. Base this on, this is how it should be properly done. This is how, like 4 games in the playoffs is a serious message.
That's probably, 12 games in the regular season or 10?
See, some people are saying it's 2. Some people are saying it's 1.5. Some people are saying it's 3. It depends on what round it's in. We're in the second round. Sheifele's a pretty important person on their team. No prior history. This is a huge punishment.
So it's like 2.5. So we'll make it 10, I guess. So, I mean, that's a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's a ton of games.
So
that's more than 10% in the season.
And like I said, this is not a play that would happen in the season.
No.
This is definitely a playoff type hit because
he starts striding from just in front of Carey Price all the way back, as he should in the playoff game.
But if he would have just went for the puck, he could have maybe stopped it. Maybe he couldn't have, but it would have been damn close.
And at the very least, if he thought he was too late to save the goal, he could have avoided the hit.
Yeah.
Or hugged him.
But he was, something. Like you said, he was frustrated in the game. You could tell.
It was intentional.
Yeah.
He wanted to hurt him. I don't know if I think there's a difference between I want to hurt him and I want to injure him.
Yes. Of course players want to hurt each other.
I don't think he wanted to.
Why do you think people line up for the big hits?
That's the entire point. You want to cause some bruises. I mean, that's part of the thing. But there's one specific photo, and I think maybe was it you that posted it in our group chat on Discord. But it's a photo of him looking down at Evans right after he hit him, and his mouth is open.
Oh, he's like, what's going on?
And that's the look of like, oh my God, did I just kill him?
Yeah.
And there's some other screenshots after that where he's looking in the distance and he looks a little crazy.
Yeah.
That first shot that first picture that you
even when he goes out the tunnel, he kind of comes back and he's looking out to see what's going on.
Yeah. So I think I said near the end of my second video, if you're gonna forgive anyone in the NHL, I think Mark Sheifele is probably in the top 5 because he's genuinely a really good person. I think he just made a stupid mistake.
Oh, 100%.
So I forgive Mark Sheifele already.
Well, some of the fans don't because...
And that's fine. Maybe you'll never, but...
His family has gotten completely unacceptable bullying as a result of his hit. And by family, I mean his parents. Like, why? Like, back to the keyboard Twitter warriors. Why are you going after a player's family as if they had anything to do with it?
Stupid. And I looked at Mark Scheifele's Twitter, and he hadn't posted it since like maybe early April or something. It was a post that was completely unrelated to everything. In the comments section on his most recent post on Twitter, toxic.
Wow.
So toxic.
I don't know. I don't get it.
Anyway,
what I've learned from this situation is I'm happy with the result. Some people obviously aren't. I'm hoping the people who thought they would throw the book at him realize that 4 games in the playoffs is pretty serious.
Yeah.
I mean, Montreal, we're going to get into it. Montreal is up 2-0 now. And there's a possibility he's done for the year if they end this in 5 games or less.
There may not be another game in Winnipeg because Montreal.
There may not be.
Because Montreal.
But even if there is, that one game in Winnipeg, he's not back for that game.
That's correct. Yeah, you're right.
So only if it goes to 6 or 7 is he back.
I will say this. Did you hear what Mark Scheifele said about the suspension?
He thought it was excessive.
Thought it was excessive. I didn't like that comment.
But he's not going to appeal it at the same time.
He's not going to
because he doesn't want it to be a distraction.
That's correct. And I think that was a really good decision.
I think excessive... Okay, here's what I think. I think 4 games is the right call, but I think it's fair for him to look at that and say it's excessive because I think most people were thinking 2 to 3.
He's emotionally invested as well.
Totally.
And he feels a lot.
And his team needs him.
Yes.
So I'm happy with this. I wish this could be the benchmark for how they issue their suspensions instead of spinning that wheel every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a pretty brutal hit. Lesser hits should be less. Anything egregiously worse should be more, or similar type predatory hits should be the same.
I agree. And he's also not a repeat offender, which was a factor as well. If he had been a repeat offender, this might have been 8.
All right, let's move on because we probably got enough haters in the comments already.
Yeah, and like we said at the beginning, guys, if you disagree, leave your opinion respectfully. That's all we ask.
And if you disagree with us, go on his YouTube channel and leave the comments over there. Don't leave them on this one.
No.
Okay, so back into more positive news. The Buffalo Sabres have won the draft lottery.
That's an odd sentence that you started with. In positive news, the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that in a while.
So it's only the 3rd time in the history that the number 1 pick...
That's... What? Is that real?
Yeah, so whoever is slated as first, best odds, it's only happened 3 times.
Since when?
Since, I don't know. It says history. That's what the notes I got.
That's crazy.
So... But how long has the draft lottery been around for? I don't know that either.
Since like 2011.
Okay, so it's only happened 3 times. So Toronto was 1, Buffalo's 1. I don't know who the 3rd one was. I can't think off the top of my head.
I have no idea. Maybe it wasn't New Jersey, I don't think.
I don't know.
I'm not
But anyway,
sure.
yeah, I was really surprised by that, so I had to throw that in. So I'm going to ask you, Neil.
Yeah.
What does this mean for the Buffalo Sabres? Because they still have a lot of issues. Like, this helps. This is a positive note. The fans should be appreciative of this and be stoked for this.
Yeah.
But this is not an immediate fix. This is a future fix. And they still have a lot of immediate problems right now, a.k.a. Jack Eichel, which I'll get into in a second. But just off the top of your head, what does this mean for Buffalo?
The obvious answer is, yeah, it helps Buffalo. But honestly, brutally, I don't think that much.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many other issues, not even just positionally, not even just roster-wise, but like culturally.
Oh,
within
yes.
the team. So I don't really... And also, this is a weak draft compared to the last couple of incredible drafts that we've had.
Most people think they're going to go for that defenseman. I think his last name is Powers.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're probably getting a defenseman. Like, for the best player? Sure, I agree with that.
This is really good for Buffalo. Long term, like you said, I think near the beginning. Like, long term, this is good for Buffalo. But there's still so many other things that they need to fix, especially with the Jack Eichel thing.
Okay, let's get into that. So his 12 weeks that we talked about on a couple podcasts ago are up.
Yeah.
He has revisited that conversation with the coaching staff and the team GMs and stuff. And the team is still not comfortable giving him the surgery that he wants.
They've announced that, have they?
Yep, they said they're not comfortable, so they're not doing it right now. So apparently, according to reports, both the team and the player have spoken to the NHL and the NHLPA respectively about knowing what their rights are, because this is going to get nasty.
Okay, he's gone.
He has to be gone.
He's gone.
Now the problem is, Jack Eichel's paid a lot of money, and a flat cap salary, which is not going to go up for probably 5 years now. It sounds like it's gonna be hard to move a player like that. And number two, you're moving an injured player that wants a surgery that no one in the NHL has done before. So you're taking on that risk.
I still don't think it's gonna be that hard to move him.
You don't think so?
No, I think there's at least probably maybe 8 to 12 teams that would just jump at the opportunity.
See, I can only think of like 5.
I'm thinking like someone.
And I don't know if they
like Anaheim, a team that's kind of have come down, starting to think about rebuilding.
What was St. Louis?
I don't know about St. Louis. Like, I think player-wise he might fit in, but I don't know.
Boston was in it for a while,
I think
it seemed like, but then the Taylor Hall thing's working out great, so I don't think that's happening now. Plus, Boston couldn't afford him anyway.
St. Louis is an interesting one, though. They'd have to do some cap.
I think anybody's going to have to do some cap thing, because nobody's got loads of money to spend.
Except for Buffalo. No, actually, not really, because they're paying Skinner an egregious amount of money.
But basically, if they want to move this player, not only are they going to have to find someone that's willing to trade, but they're going to have to basically agree to do the surgery that he wants.
Yeah, and Boston probably would, but Taylor Hall is a likely to resign.
Yeah, Taylor Hall's
or sign in Boston.
They're going to hope Taylor Hall signs for a discount.
And there's no way they're signing Taylor Hall and then acquiring Jack
I think there's no way that he's...
Unless they trade Taylor Hall for Jack Eichel.
There's no way. Yeah. So, I don't know. I was super stoked for Buffalo. Like, I was glad they got it. Like, they deserved it.
I'm happy that they won.
Like, the fans deserve it.
I was rooting for Seattle, but...
Not me.
Seattle went up to 2.
Yep, that's the other bullet is Seattle moved from 2 or 3 to 2, so that's cool.
Yep.
It sucks that this isn't a deep draft, but hopefully they'll get someone that...
I think they're going to have a pretty decent team based on the expansion draft anyway.
I think you're right.
So, yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited for Buffalo, like, kind of rag on them a little bit and stuff, but I really want to see this team transition into a competitive team. I want to see them make the playoffs.
Their fans deserve it so much.
They do. And I really, really genuinely want to see them make the playoffs and improve and just get that monkey off their back. Same with the Leafs in the first round losses. Like, I just want it to be over. I just want the meme to end in a way. Like, I enjoy the meme as a Canadiens fan, but at the same time, I just want to.
I have a lot of thoughts on the Leafs when we get into that.
Let's do it.
My notes on the Leafs. We're not getting there yet, though. Okay. Now, I want to get back to another suspension.
Oh, the Reaves one, yes.
Speaking of the benchmark being set for 4.
Yeah.
This 2, I don't agree with this 2.
You think it should be more?
It should be more. He admitted in his hearing that he ripped a chunk of the guy's hair out.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people saying there was no blood on the ice, there was no hair on the ice.
He admitted to doing it.
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? It's just...
And
that shouldn't be in hockey.
The coach says, for me, he's one of the cleanest, tough guys that's been I've ever seen in the league in my 12 or 13 years. The cleanest, tough guys. Like, what is a clean, tough guy?
Anyone who pulls hair, I don't think should play the rest of that series.
Yeah, like go look at Ryan Graves' hair and see if there's like a big chunk missing out of it. Because apparently there is, and he admitted to it.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, maybe it was an accident, I guess. But maybe he's going to grab his helmet or something. I don't really know. I didn't look into the situation that much.
I don't want to get ahead of myself here, because we are going to do a small recap on the series that are ongoing right now. But since he's been suspended, I don't know. I think the team's doing better without him.
I agree. I don't think they should.
I don't think they should bring him back in.
Yes,
I don't know if that's controversial or not, but
I was wondering if you're going to go there, because that's where I was thinking about going. So I'm glad we agree. I don't think they play him.
I don't know if I was going to put it in my notes, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to go there because people might hate on that. But they're totally doing better without him, so leave him out.
I agree. It just becomes a distraction at that point. It becomes almost a liability.
If things go downhill and you need some toughness injected,
if something happens,
bring him back.
Yeah.
But right now,
Kadri's out. So
yes.
There's the questionable player on Colorado.
Yes.
Nazem Kadri. He could potentially do something where Ryan Reaves go get him or whatever. He's out. Maybe Reaves should be out too.
Yeah.
Just let the boys play.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So anyway, what do you think about the 2 games?
Yeah, I thought it could be a little bit more.
I was looking for 3.
I thought it was going to be at least 3.
Not that one is like, oh, one more, big deal. That's 50% more. Whatever. I'll take one more.
3 games in a 7-game potential series. That's
like
that's
I said. When you set the benchmark with Sheifele with 4 with no prior history, this one I could have. You know, one more game I would have been happy with that.
Yep, totally agree.
Okay, speaking of Kadri, I have a insane amount of notes about the Kadri.
There's an entire page.
There's 2 pages of it.
Holy crap.
And the reason why I have so much of it is because if you listen to our podcast last week, we filmed a podcast the week before that never came out.
Yeah.
And we talked about Kadri.
We did.
And I kind of said some stuff that I'm glad didn't come out.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that?
No.
I said, you were asking me why Kadri got the 8 games. And I said, because he's Nazem Kadri.
Right.
So I'm kind of glad that the way I worded it didn't come out, but I still kind of agree with that a little bit. So let's start off this from the beginning. Do you think 8 games for Kadri is appropriate, or it should have been less?
I thought it was going to be less.
I think he should have got 5 or 6 games.
I thought 8 was...
8 playoff games is like you murdered someone.
I don't like Kadri.
Now, neither do I. And this is what, the 3rd time that he's done this in the playoffs?
The 3rd time in a row, I think.
So they're trying to send him a message, which I'm okay with,
yes,
I guess. But then when you look at Reaves getting 2, it's like, what?
I know, it just doesn't... It doesn't really equate.
The scale is not linear, is my problem.
Yeah.
It seems like there's curves in there somewhere that I don't understand why sometimes it's less and sometimes it's more. It's hard as a fan watching to know what's going to come out of them.
And the NHL does a good job when they make these decisions to put out a video, narrated, explaining it, but it still don't make sense sometimes based on the decision of the amount of games and stuff.
I have a question I want to ask you that I was going to write down and I didn't, but I'm glad I remembered it.
Okay, hit me.
In pretty much every other league, it is the commissioner that assigns the suspensions.
You're right, actually.
It goes to the commissioner's office and Roger Goodell, whoever, they decide you're getting this straight from the boss of the league.
And someone commented that in my video because I think in the first one I was looking at a picture of Gary Bettman that I framed.
Yeah.
A lot of people said...
Gary Bettman is hiding behind Sheifele's...
Yeah. A lot of people said, man, this guy's got a picture of Gary Bettman framed in his house. How come no one else is mentioning this? But
that picture has been up on the wall for how long?
Oh, wow.
Long time.
A long time.
Yep.
But my point is, people were saying Gary Bettman has no say in what happens. And I think they forget that he does.
He does.
Because it was the Carlo situation, if I'm not mistaken.
So generally speaking, Gary Bettman wants a former player in that role because they technically have a different point of view because they are a player.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think George Peros is the best guy to have in there.
No.
I think you need to find I don't know. Like, same with that. I don't think that's a good one either. Like, you can't have a goon in there, and you can't just have a pure skill guy in there. It's got to be someone that was just like good at everything. So, like, say like Blake Wheeler down the road, he retires, or
Patrice Bergeron.
Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah.
Someone that's just like respected.
Yes.
Someone who played the game the right way, understands both sides of the game, because, you know, he's got Marchand there, but he's also a skill guy. Like,
someone who...
It needs to be someone like that. If you're going to have a player in there, it needs to be someone that the players and the fans can have confidence in to make the right decision.
Yeah. Someone who has or could potentially have won the most sportsmanlike trophy.
Word. And I don't know why I said that.
Word.
It just felt... I was thinking of Patrice Bergeron and the most sportsmanlike, and my heart fluttered a little bit there. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to have George Peros in there, you may as well just have Gary Bettman doing it.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to try and lead into. If George Peros makes a decision, it's going to go to Gary Bettman to look at it first before it gets released. And if Gary Bettman doesn't like it, he's going to say, hey, I don't like this, change it.
Right.
At the end of the day, if he really doesn't like it, which he has done.
And that was the Tom Wilson on Carlo.
Yes.
There was going to be no suspension for that.
Yeah.
George Peros looked at that and said, that's a hockey play. And Gary Bettman came in and said, nope, that's a bad look. We got to give him something. And he said 7 games.
Exactly.
So we went from 0 to 7 based on the guy in charge of player safety and the commissioner. That's a huge gap right there, folks.
Yeah. And going back to your point, what's the point of having George Peros in there? Why isn't the commissioner himself making the actual decision?
Exactly.
And I think it's okay to have a team in place.
Sure.
But you can still make the decision as the head of that team and the commissioner.
How do you think Brendan Shanahan did when he was in there?
Better.
Totally better.
Better, for sure.
And he was kind of a tougher player, too, on the ice.
Now, that was a really good example of a player who wasn't just a tough guy, who could also contribute offensively, skill. So, personality-wise, I think that was he made some bad decisions on some of his suspensions, but
Right.
definitely better than George Parros, in my opinion.
So, as far as I'm concerned, if you can't get a player in there that, I don't know what the word is, like embodies the spirit of the game, or just someone that played the right way, then it should just be the commissioner doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's not just going to be him. It's going to be him and his team. Gary Bettman's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like he wrote up a friggin' 18-page draft about why he's upholding the Kadri suspension, which I have 2 pages of right here. We could have had that to begin with.
Exactly. Yes.
So I don't know.
Anyway, it is an interesting situation. That's for sure.
Okay, so getting back to Kadri, I don't know, went off on that tangent there, but so I was thinking 5 or 6 games.
I was in the same
I'm
ballpark.
okay with 8. I'm not mad about 8. If I was a Colorado fan, maybe I'm mad at 8, but like you said, this is the 3rd playoff in a row. You got to send a message, which is kind of what they did with Wheeler. Repeat offender. I'm okay with it. He's not okay with it, obviously, so he appealed it to Gary Bettman, and Gary Bettman sat on it for a few days, and then
You know what
he got
pisses
back.
me off about this entire situation? And I don't like saying this. Nazem Kadri's a good player.
he's a very good player.
This doesn't need to happen, especially 3 years in a row.
Nazem Kadri, he's like a Marchand, but worse. He's a guy that plays on the line, often goes over it, but his contract is like 4-point-something million. This guy would be one of the most sought-after players in the league if he would cut this garbage out.
He is the exact type of player the exact type of depth player that wins you a series.
He's the type of player that Toronto needed when they got rid of him.
Yeah, honestly. They got
It's
rid
like,
of
what
him
kind of a
because
player do we need to bring in here? We need this, we need toughness, we need this, we need a good contract, we need skill.
Yep.
You just sent him out for nothing.
And they had to because they didn't trust him.
Exactly.
Because they thought that he was going to cost them the series.
And look what happened.
They lost anyway.
And he did it again.
And he did it again for a different team.
They couldn't have won regardless
No
of what
one
they
won
did.
in that situation.
Toronto in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I wanted to talk about the reasons why Bettman upheld the suspension, because I think they're important, because in a lot of cases, he referenced Tom Wilson at the end of the regular season not getting a suspension for like pile driving Panarin.
Yes.
He's like, wait a minute, this is a repeat offender. How come you're not trying to give him a lesson?
And he explains why.
He does explain why. He talks about specifically.
Because I don't know any of this. So
No, okay,
I'm ready
so
for it.
There are 3 quotes I want to talk about in regards to why he's upholding the suspension, and
Right.
then 2 about directly comparing Kadri to Wilson, which I
Perfect.
thought was pretty interesting.
Okay.
So he says, because the NHLPA and Mr. Kadri do not contest that the conduct in question violated playing rule 48, which warranted supplemental discipline, my analysis is limited to whether the 8-game suspension imposed by the Department of Player Safety is appropriate. Example, supported by clear and convincing evidence. For the reasons that follow, I find that it is. So he basically said, you're coming to me to appeal this decision because you think 8 is too much, but you're admitting that what you did was worthy of suspension.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's my job to look at the evidence and determine whether this 8 is too much or not enough, or actually he can add more if he wants to.
Yeah, that's the
I don't know
other
if a lot
thing,
of
too.
people know that, but he could come back and say, after I've looked at this, I think you should have 10.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that doesn't usually happen, but he does have the power to do that.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. So he says the CBA does not prescribe a formulaic basis for the determination of appropriate supplementary discipline, which is why we spin the wheel every time.
Yes.
We don't know what's coming because there's no guide on what to do.
There's no process.
There's no process. It's
It's all situational.
It's
And I know it has to be in a way.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be in a way.
yes, totally. It says, to the contrary, Article 18 embodies a recognition that each case is unique and must be decided on the basis of its own particular facts and circumstances, which is what you just said. You have to look at every case differently. You can make comparisons, but it's not like every time someone gets suspended, it's directly relatable to someone else's suspension, so you can match it exactly.
Yeah, it's not like there's categories set up ready so where you can just like kind of like,
Yeah,
okay,
like,
this
falls into
category.
B3, 3 games.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's-
check, 3 games.
I don't think it could ever get to that point.
No.
But
But you hope that, like I said, the person in charge of the player, I don't know why, but right here, this spot here, the Department of Player Safety guy sitting right here because I keep pointing there. I don't even remember what I was going to say because I lost that, but whatever. I don't even care. Okay. Okay, sorry. Just focus. All right. Even if I accept as true Mr. Kadri's contention that he did not intend to make head contact with Mr. Falk or to injure him, his actions were nonetheless reckless. True or false?
okay, read that again.
No, just say true.
True.
Okay.
I was distracted by it said Mr. Falk.
Oh.
Like, why are you calling a hockey player Mr. Falk?
Because that's how Bettman has to.
I know, but it's just
officially.
odd. It really distracted me.
Okay, it is no excuse to say that Mr. Falk was eligible to be hit. Mr. Kadri chose a poor angle of approach towards Mr. Falk, and to make matters worse, he delivered the check. He elevated his shoulder up, which he did. He nailed him up like that, and into Mr. Falk's head, which was not necessary to deliver the check, which is true.
Which is true, yeah.
The force used was excessive and manifested a disregard for the safety of the opposing player.
True.
Part of that almost sounds like the Sheifele hit.
Well, you're saying this, yeah, because Sheifele did bend down and he did come up, and the momentum, the weight shift when he came up is what really, and Evans not preparing for the hit is what made it look really bad. And so there's a bit of that in here.
And that's an interesting quote. The force used was excessive.
Yes.
Like you did not need to crush this guy.
Exactly.
You could have gave him 75% of that power and you still would have ended up on his butt.
Yeah, and hurt. Okay,
so I want to get into the Tom Wilson direct comparisons now because I thought this was actually kind of interesting. And I thought it was interesting by Kadri to try to use Tom Wilson as a tactic to say, hey, look at this guy. Why are you picking on me? So he said, this is Gary Bettman. He said, I am not persuaded by the NHLPA's argument that the disciplinary records of Wilson, Gudas, Marchand, or Ronaldo illustrate the concept that if a player plays clean for a given amount of time, he shall not be considered a player who repeatedly violates the league playing rules under Article 18.2, which is interesting.
That's
so
really
he is dismissing the fact that, hey, if you play for a while, you get clean, kind of.
But that's in the rules. Like, isn't that contradictory a little bit?
No, I think you're understanding it wrong.
Oh.
He's saying that they're trying to contradict the rules or they interpret the rules another way by thinking that if you play for a while cleanly.
Oh, sorry. He shall not be considered.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I did read that wrong.
Basically, what this is saying is your past history always matters.
Yes.
Which we know.
Yes.
So he's trying to say, like, oh, well, these other guys have played and clean for a while, aka the Tom Wilson. He said, Mr. Wilson's record provides the closest analog to Mr. Kadri's record, which is kind of true. They're very similar. They've been suspended a lot of times. And the number of head-related suspensions for Mr. Wilson, 4 at the time, led to a 14-game suspension in 2018, as discussed above. Mr. Wilson thereafter played suspension-free for a longer period of time than Mr. Kadri did. More importantly, his 5th suspension for 7 games, which was on the Carlo hit, simply did not involve as an egregious or clear-cut violation as his prior violations.
Or as Mr. Kadri's violation here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, we're saying that he was suspended for 14 games. He came back. He had a hit that wasn't as bad as the one you did, and we gave him 7 for it.
Yeah.
That's why you're getting 8, because your hit was worse.
Interesting.
And then Kadri is appealing again.
I did hear that.
So it's going to an arbitrator now.
What's the point? Just sit out. I think it
I don't know. How many games have gone by that he's
I
missed
guess
now?
Let me retract that statement. He's losing money here.
He doesn't care about the money.
Does he?
I don't think so because it's not contract money. The season is over. He got paid his contract.
But this is bonus.
There are bonus. I don't know what the bonus money is for each game in the playoffs. Though.
I think it must be significant.
I don't think it is though. I think if you win, you get a nice little chunk of change. But I think I think it's just something.
I know you get more money based on what round you're in.
We got to look into this at some point because this is the second time we talked about it and we don't know.
I don't know if it's public knowledge.
I'm going to tweet John Shannon and see if John Shannon, if you're out there, I'm going to tweet you and hopefully get an answer. But so if it goes to it's going to go to an independent arbitrator who has nothing to do with hockey. He's just going to be a guy. And it's going to be someone that they both agree on together.
Yeah.
And whatever he says is it. You can't appeal. NHL can't deny. So if he says, yep, 5 games, and he's already served 5 games, he's back next game.
By the time this is done, I think 8 games.
That is why this process takes so long, is because it is designed to not work. Unless you are really, like Tom Wilson's 14 games, maybe he could have clawed back a couple of those, but I think his 8 games are going to be done by the time this is done. Yeah,
that's like a lot of warranty claims are like that.
Yeah.
Like you might have warranty, but is it really worth going to the time and effort to replace a specific thing?
Yeah.
Probably not. You just go buy a new one.
Yep.
Depending on what it is, obviously.
It's like last night, did I tell you my iPad died last night?
What do you mean it died?
Okay, so I couldn't turn my iPad on last night. I was like, I was using it the night before and it worked fine. I've only had it for 4 months, an iPad Air 4. First Apple product I've bought since my iPhone 3G.
Inexpensive.
Very expensive. It was $800, $900. It was $897 with tax. So anyway, I'm like, that's pro. This is 4 months old and it's not working already. So anyway, I went on to the Apple support site or whatever, and I was looking for like a live chat thing to talk to someone, and they were showing the RMA process. They said, if you have Apple Care, which I don't, $49 to fix it. If you do not have Apple Care to fix this, $700. It was $80 cheaper to fix it than to go buy a new one.
But I think you have 1 year.
I do have 1 year.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you're right.
I end up talking to a support guy and intense. Let me tell you that.
Intense good or intense bad?
So the guy's like, the first guy I talked to says, let's try booting into a recovery restart or something like that. So you do like volume up, volume down, power button, and that should force it to restart. As soon as I did that, the screen came on, and it was like slide to restart. It was like, heck no, cancel. I was like, way to go, buddy. You brought it back up. And chat, go turn the screen off. It won't turn off.
Whoa.
I was like, okay. So then it times out on its own, and I go to turn it back on. It won't turn back on again. So I do the volume up, volume down, power on. It comes back on again. So I open up another chat and say, listen, I think my power button's not working. Like, I can't turn on or off my screen.
Wow.
Because it just won't work. The only way I can get my screen to come back on is to do the thing. And the guy's like, I've heard of this problem before. I'm going to install an update onto your laptop, into your iPad. He's like, try it now. Click, it comes on.
No way.
So he used my serial number and remotely installed an update on my iPad.
That's creepy.
That's what Reed said, or that's what Sorbet said. Or I was talking to some of our friends, and I told them about it, and they're like, I didn't know they could do that. And I was like, neither did I.
That is
like, I'm a generally tech-savvy kind of dude. I don't know anything about Apple stuff.
Yeah.
Generally don't like Apple stuff, but iPads Pro, I don't understand. So I'm like, okay, so should I be nervous here? This problem's going to creep back up again? He's like, nope, this update solves it for most people. Okay.
Amazing.
Now, if you had to give me that update, why isn't that in just like a general update that everybody has?
That's right, yeah.
But the fact that he could send me a direct thing, and I was talking to him through my computer. I wasn't on my iPad doing the support. I was on my computer.
Just by the serial number.
And I had to type in the super long serial number that's engraved on the back.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, I went off at a tangent there, but I just wanted to say, like, in terms of warranties, like, literally, if you have an iPad for more than a year, it's $70 cheaper to get it fixed rather than just go buy a new one. So you might as well spend the extra $70 and go buy a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably why they use that price.
Yeah.
All right. That was a huge off-topic thing, but...
I like off-topic things.
Yeah.
Some people probably don't. I like it.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about a couple off-season surgeries.
Yeah. Surprising. Oh, not really surprising, but interesting.
Kind of surprising for me because I forgot about them.
I forgot about one of them for sure.
Yeah. I forgot about Malkin's. Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
So I'm going to talk about Malkin first. So he underwent successful surgery on his right knee that was injured against Boston on March 16th. So it's actually performed by the team's head physician. Do you find that intense?
No.
See, I do. But now I understand these team doctors are like the cream of the crop. Like, these are really good people.
Yeah, I only know this because I'm a Canadiens fan, and the Canadiens doctor is like considered the best in the entire NHL, and even it bleeds into other leagues. Like, he is the man. His name's Dr. Mulder, I think.
Okay.
Like, he is a genius. And
really?
He's been the team doctor for decades, I think. He's the man. That's the only reason I know this.
So does he do other stuff in addition to the team, or is he just focused on the team?
He's just the team doctor, if I'm not mistaken.
That's intense.
He's the man.
We're into the man being just a guy that follows the team and might not have to do most days.
Yeah, but I don't know. He probably doesn't do all surgeries. Like, if it's an orthopedic surgery, like a broken bone or something, he might not do that.
But this was just something that obviously their own team doctor could do.
Yeah.
And they also, he also worked with Freddie Fu, Dr. Freddie Fu.
I don't know who that is.
Neither do I, but I thought it was a cool name.
That is a cool name.
Of UPMC Sports Medicine. The biggest news is that Malkin's not expected to be available for training camps in September.
Significant, yeah.
And they're hoping they'll have a better time frame in September for when he will be back. So it could be a while. I don't know.
So he was playing injured a little bit.
Absolutely. Which kind of explains some stuff.
It does. It does indeed. Yeah.
And then Max Domi, former Canadian.
Yes. And I didn't realize that he was planning on getting surgery.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed that.
He underwent successful surgery on Thursday to repair a labral tear of his right shoulder. And it was performed by Dr. Peter Millett at Stedman Clinic in Vail, Colorado. And he just revealed to the team last week that he had the problem. So they weren't even aware of it until last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they did an investigation. And after he said he had some discomfort in his shoulder, and the subsequent examination revealed the labral tear, and he's expected to make a full recovery in 5 to 6 months. So he also will not be back for training camps.
That's a significant recovery time. 5 or 6 months.
That's half a year, yo.
I mean, I broke my ankle, and I couldn't walk for, I think it was 2.5 months or something like that. And by month 5 or 6, I was starting to get back. Like, that's a long time.
Yep.
For that. Like, I know they're completely different, but for a shoulder, I just would have expected.
Maybe just because of it's just vulnerable, I guess, maybe. Yeah. And because hockey's physical, that it has to be able to take a certain amount of beating.
Interesting. All right.
Normally when we flip this many pages, we're done.
We're done.
We're halfway. Okay. I have a ton of notes. Another 2 pages
This
about the Canadiens Leafs Game 7. Now, it sucks. One thing that sucks about this podcast is sometimes a week can seem like forever ago.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe we're talking about Canadiens Leafs Game 7 when it feels like that's been over for a while now.
That happens, was it Sunday night?
Yeah.
So it's been 6 days as we're recording this, 7 days as you hear this.
Yeah.
But it feels like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, like Montreal's already played 2 games in the next series.
Yeah. And
Like
the third game's tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
But we have to talk about this.
I've talked about it. The GOAT's talked about it. You've not talked about it.
Okay.
We've not talked about it.
I wrote down my key points on page 1.
I love it. I'm excited.
Page 1 is bullet points. And I broke it down into teams. Now, I'm going to go with the Canadiens first. Okay? My first point is Carey Price MVP is literally what I wrote. I thought he played awesome in game 5 to 7. I thought in game 7, Toronto didn't push him that hard, though.
The thing about Carey Price is 95% of his saves look like easy saves because he's such a good positional.
Did you see the comment that the reporter asked him last night after the win?
I heard about it.
Going through games like tonight where your team only has 1 goal and you have to ensure that you have to keep the puck out as best as you can for 60 minutes. What's that like?
It's fun.
It's fun. That's how he said it.
Really?
That tone, everything. He goes, it's fun. No smile.
I didn't see that.
No, it's amazing. It's fun. Like, just as nonchalant as possible. Like, this guy has ice in his veins. He does not care. The pressure does not get to him at all.
Do you remember when he punched Kreider in the back of the head with his blocker? It was a couple of years after Kreider ran into him in the playoffs and injured his knee.
I don't, but I probably remember if I seen it.
I don't know if it was the next season or the season after. Kreider was in his crease and Price took his blocker. He smoked him in the back of the head with the blocker.
Really?
And they asked him about it after the game, and he said, "I didn't know who it was."
No way, really?
And they said, "Are you sure you didn't? You like it was like you didn't see the nameplate or whatever? Didn't know who it was."
That's awesome. I love those interviews.
Yeah.
All right, so I thought Corey Perry played really well.
I'm telling you, man, Corey Perry is the man.
Yep.
He gets so much hate, and I'm not saying he shouldn't because he has done some dirty things, but as a player, as an elderly player in the NHL, incredible.
Yeah, like he's number 2 in my bullet points.
I love Corey Perry.
He's number 2 after Carey Price. He had 2 goals and 2 assists in the series.
Yep.
That's what you want him for.
Corey Perry is the exact type of player that the Toronto Maple Leafs needed. And they said no to, and they got Wayne Simmons instead.
Yep. True.
Look what happened.
True. I thought the 3 kids were important.
Yes.
So, Caulfield, 1 assist, OT winner.
Dude needs to shoot more, though.
Kotkaniemi, 3 goals, and Suzuki, 2 goals, 2 assists. Heck yeah.
Do you know the stat on Kotkaniemi?
No.
He needs one more playoff goal, to have the same amount of playoff goals as Wayne Gretzky and Sidney Crosby before the age of 21.
Whoa.
That's an odd stat. I may have gotten that wrong just a little bit, but
that is potentially doable.
That's very doable.
Yeah. I thought, and these are my key points. I thought Montreal leaned extremely heavy on their 4 defensemen.
I think it was game 6 where Sherratt and Weber each played above 35 minutes, I believe. And then there was Kulak and Merrill, maybe, or Kulak and Gustafsson, who played 6, 7
It was like
minutes.
6 minutes and change, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of gamesmanship as far as coaching going on from Ducharme.
And overall, I think they did a really good job defensively against Toronto's big guys,
They did.
which I don't think they're getting enough credit for. Like, there are players. I can't remember who this was. Was it Evans or it might have been someone else? They were saying, like, what they were asking Gallagher in one of the post game interviews, like, what does this guy mean to the team? And I think he only had 1 point in the series. And like, this guy is everything. Like, he is out there preventing plays. Like, everything he's doing does not show up on the stat sheet.
It's probably Deneau.
Might have been Deneau.
Yeah. If you look at what's it called? The something score that
the line score or something?
No, the Corsi.
Okay, yeah.
Corsi, whatever. Philip Deneau's Corsi is not great.
Yeah.
And like he was on the ice for a lot of scoring chances against Montreal. He's really good in the face-off circle, and he's really good at shutting down specifically players. But it takes him away, and it makes him look bad. If you really dive deep into the actual advanced stats of Deneau, he doesn't look good.
Really?
But he does make an impact on the ice.
Yeah.
So Deneau was a big reason that Montreal did well.
So that's like an eyeballs versus stats kind of thing.
Yeah. Kind of.
Okay, here's my key points for the Leafs, and I do have a couple more than I do have for the... Okay, so the first one is they lost John Tavares in game 1. which a lot of people are blaming as the reason why they lost the series, but they won the next 3 games after he got hurt.
You cannot use that as an excuse.
You cannot use that
can't.
as an excuse.
You just factually
So yes,
can't.
that is a big loss. I will not deny it. I will not deny the fact that if he would have stayed, and Mitch Marner's getting a lot of hate. We're going to get into that. I think that's on page 2. But he even said if you threw this series into a random generator, 90 times out of 100, the Leafs are winning this series.
Yep.
With the same group they have right now. Like everyone's like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do next year? How are we going to change things? You could just come back with the same group and you could win. Like,
yeah, you could just make just a couple of adjustments, and you might do okay.
Yeah.
Like you just might.
Like, for all intents and purposes, you should have won. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't have won. We're going to get into that later. This is the key points. So I put as my second point, these are my points, not yours. Marner and Matthews failed the team with their lack of production.
They absolutely did. And I understand that Danault was there and other players were there shutting them down.
Right.
Marner was invisible.
Yes.
And not even was he invisible. He was a liability to the team. He wasn't just invisible. He was playing for the Montreal Canadiens in a way.
Yep.
He was terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He had one of those bad turnovers that led into a goal.
But this seems to be a trend in the playoffs for these players.
Yes, and that's the problem. We'll get into that though. I thought that Toronto's depth came to play. I thought Jason Spezza was amazing. Jason Spezza was the Corey Perry of Toronto, and then some.
Jason Spezza was their best player.
I think so.
Maybe outside Jack Campbell.
He had 3 goals and 2 assists on a $700,000 contract.
Do you know who the Toronto Maple Leafs pay more than Jason Spezza?
Yes, because you told me. Tell everyone else.
The Toronto Maple Leafs pay Phil Kessel more money than Jason Spezza. Jason Spezza makes
700 something.
$750,000,
league minimum.
I believe.
League minimum, I'm pretty sure.
They're paying through salary retention $1.2 million to Phil Kessel again next year as well. So just think about that.
Yeah.
Your best player was Jason Spezza, and you're paying Phil Kessel more, and he doesn't even play for you. So
yeah,
stat.
He hasn't played for you for a while.
Yeah, for like 3 years now, or whatever it's been, 4 years.
I thought Nylander had a great series. I thought he was one of Toronto's best players, maybe number 2 right after, like if we're talking about players, not goalies.
Yep, I thought he did really well.
I thought he put a lot of the naysayers to bed, because Nylander's been getting a lot of hate ever since he, when he signed his contract, he sat out till December trying to get his money.
Big deal.
And he had a maybe rightfully so hate train on him for not playing. You can't say that this series.
Nope.
He played really well.
Absolutely, he proved his worth in a way.
They never led in the series in a game after game 4. So from game 5, 6, and 7, never ever had a lead.
Montreal has had a lead in the last 5 games they've played.
Yep.
And they've never been down in the last 5 games. That's crazy.
Another key point is they failed to start on time, and we're always playing catch up.
Yep.
They even mentioned this in their post games, like, we got to come out. This is the playoffs, guys. Like, you can't come out slow.
They said that after every game.
Like, it's ridiculous. You can't say that after every game.
Yeah.
And then I have as my last point is I thought Jack Campbell played great. The Gallagher goal in game 7 was horrible. It's definitely the worst goal he left in. But as we said on the last podcast, Jack Campbell's not the reason you lost us. He played fantastic.
It's really difficult to watch his post-game press conference. Did you see it?
We talked about this before. We said this is a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve and things get to him.
Yeah.
And he came out and talked. So they had their media availabilities, I think, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday.
It wasn't Wednesday. So
Okay, it was Tuesday. So, like, the coach came out, GM came out, president came out, but the players also talked too. Jack Campbell brought that goal up without being asked about it. It's still on his mind.
He was almost in tears.
Yeah, it's still on his mind. Like, I'm not talking about the one after the game. That was the one he was crying at. The one 2 days later when he came out and talking, when he wasn't crying, he brought that goal up and said that I got to stop that goal. So that's eating him.
Yeah.
He's going to sit on that all summer long.
He said it was the worst goal of his career, I think.
Yeah, he did.
No offense to Jack Campbell. I'm pretty sure we could go back in his history and find a worse goal. But
Yeah.
It was a bad goal.
It was a bad goal when you needed a save.
Yeah, that was a big moment. But again, that's not why the Maple Leafs lost.
No.
So Jack Campbell shouldn't be blamed. He shouldn't blame himself. I'm not blaming him. You're not blaming him. 98% of the fans aren't blaming him.
No.
It's the rest of the team.
And it's disappointing for him, too, because he was a guy that wasn't necessarily supposed to be in that position, and he got the chance, and the team let him down.
Yeah.
So he's disappointed at letting the team down when, in fact, it should be the team being disappointed, because who knows if Jack Campbell's going to be your number 1 next year. He might.
There's still the Frederik Andersen conversation.
Frederik Andersen is gone.
I don't know how he's not gone.
100%. All right. I have some debate questions.
I love debate questions.
And the category for all of these debate questions is, where do the Leafs go from here?
Okay.
So they're all related to that. So I'm going to ask you, Neil, who is to blame for this loss? players, coaching staff, GM, a combination. Whose fault is it that Montreal is playing Winnipeg right now and not the Leafs?
If you had asked me this question right after, I would have said the players, not the GM.
Mm-hmm.
Now my answer is every one of them. Okay? The players, obviously, as we just discussed, we don't have to discuss that again. The coach, Sheldon Keefe, was extremely stubborn and said he doesn't care about matchups and he's going to play the boys whenever he wants to play the boys.
Yes.
Well, sorry, that backfired on you. So you lost that gamesmanship. And then Kyle Dubas, who thought that he brought in the right players, and on paper, it looks pretty good. But clearly, bringing in Wayne Simmons was not the right answer. Giving up a first for Foligno was not the right answer. I think Foligno was injured. I'll say that. So I don't think we got 100% Foligno.
No, he was totally injured.
So that's obviously maybe unavoidable. I can't necessarily blame Dubas for that. But still, the right players weren't there. Maybe on paper they were, but emotionally, I don't think that they were there. I think there were still some deficiencies on the defensive end as well.
This is where I maybe disagree with you a tiny bit, but not totally. I blame the players first because they didn't show up,
I agree.
like I said. I also blame Sheldon Keefe, the coach, because he didn't make adjustments to what Toronto or Montreal was doing. Their power play sucked, and he never adjusted. He never tried anything different. He never tried moving Nylander or whoever or Marner up and down lineups to try to get players going. It's like Marner wasn't going, but let's just leave him where he is.
Did you see what he did to Riley?
No,
He took him off the power play for some of the games. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I thought Sheldon Keefe had a bad series. I really did.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the GMs, I maybe I've come around to this in a little bit, but I did not think that you could put this blame on the GMs. And I even mentioned this on our last podcast. I said Kyle Dubas has come out in the last 3 years and took responsibility for the failure. And I said, I don't see how he does that this time because everything he did worked. They were by far the best team in the regular season. You have Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews both being top 5 per points. Austin Matthews is a goal scoring machine. He brought in goaltending. He brought in depth. He brought in toughness. Now, Joe Thornton, I don't know. Wayne Simmons, I don't know. Wayne Simmons had some good games in the regular season that got them pumped up.
yep.
But for whatever reason, that doesn't translate to playoffs when it should have. Now, I don't know if that's the GM's fault or not. This was your star players that did not show up.
Yeah.
So how do you as a GM avoid that? I don't think you can bring other players in to make Mitch Marner and Matthews do better.
No, I agree with that 100%. I agree.
Like they were talking in their press conference on Tuesday about how they lack killer instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do you give a player killer instinct? That's not done through a trade.
Yeah.
You either have it or you don't. Like, can you teach it? Maybe. That's a coaching thing.
Would you have made the exact same decisions that Kyle Dubas made prior to the season?
Yes.
I would
I thought he
too.
did well. I thought he did. Like, I don't blame Kyle Dubas for this. Like, this is unforeseen. I said before this season, like, I can't change my mind now that I've seen the outcome. I said before this series happened, they shouldn't even play these games. I said Toronto should just go to the second round and Montreal should go golf because there's no point of playing this.
We forgot to paint the logo on your face.
We did.
Oh, no.
Everyone was looking forward to it, too. We totally forgot, people.
Oh,
this is
no.
legitimately not planned. We totally forgot.
You're even wearing the Boston stuff. Okay.
Okay, we're going to have to do a makeup.
We'll just have to remember next weekend.
Okay.
We have to.
We totally forgot.
I completely forgot. I'm so sorry.
We are legitimately not trying to cover this up.
It's probably because we're filming on a Saturday and we switched up the schedule and there's the 10
Kinda.
pages of notes.
Yeah, that's true.
No excuses, though.
Because you did say, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Can we film tomorrow? So we're doing it today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. I think you have to blame Kyle Dubas, though. Like, I would have made the exact same decisions that he would have made. But at the end of the day, they were the wrong decisions because Wayne Simmons didn't really show up in the playoffs. Joe Thornton was visible.
If you were to throw that in the blender and win 95 out of 100 in a simulation, are you really wrong that... Like, that's like saying...
But no one showed up, though, in those last 3 games. Not only Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews didn't show up.
Jason Spezza showed up.
Okay, other than Jack Campbell and Jason Spezza, there was no one else who really showed up. So, a part of me has to blame Kyle Dubas. Now, of the 3 players, coach, Kyle Dubas is way down here.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
But
I'm not going to say...
blame him some.
Okay.
I can't not blame him.
I'll give him a 5% blame. That's what I'll do.
I'll agree on that.
I'll say... Okay, because you're right. At the end of the day, the team he put together didn't get the job done, and ultimately that comes back on him. But he has the right to be extremely disappointed in the way his players performed.
100%.
He gave them what they needed, and this was the year. This was the year. Next year, you got to go back through these guys. You got to go through the Bruins. You got to go back through Tampa. You're not going to have it as easy next year.
This is the gift. This year was a gift. Look where they ended in the season. Look how bad the North Division. Look where they ended in the division. I mean, look how bad the division was. It was the worst division, and they dominated it.
Yes, they did.
They dominated it.
Yes.
The Montreal Canadiens wouldn't even be in the playoffs if we were in a normal year. I think Dallas had more points than them.
Yes,
I think
Dallas and New York.
The Rangers.
Yes.
Montreal wouldn't even be in the playoffs.
Yes.
Now they're in the second round, leading Winnipeg with 2 games, and they're going to go to the conference finals maybe. Like, what are you doing, Toronto?
Do you know what's awesome is this was one question of my bunch that I have on here.
Epic.
Okay, next one. If you were Kyle Dubas, what changes do you need to make this offseason to try to improve the club's performance in the playoffs? Would you trade one of your core players such as Marner?
Yes.
Ooh, which one would you trade?
Only because I'm real stubborn and critical. And I don't have patience. I would not be a good GM because I don't have patience. And I think you're right. If they come back next season with basically the same lineup, they'd probably do pretty good.
I think
they might actually win.
I think they are coming back with the 4.
But I'm real stubborn and I want results. So I'd be like, Mitch Marner, it's been fun. But you got to go.
See, the intense thing for this is you've only got 3 years left on Austin Matthews' contract.
Austin Matthews.
So you can only play the let's try game so many times. Like, it's not like McDavid out in Edmonton where you got a bunch of years and you're like, because you got to bet on your players. You got to bet on the players that, like, you have a lot of skilled guys. You got to just hope they get the job done. Like, we have the guys that get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But you've only got 3 more years guaranteed to get this done, and then he can walk if he wants to.
And he's probably going to.
I don't know if he does or not.
I don't think he wants to play in Toronto. I think that's why he only signed the 3 years.
5 years.
Or 5 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
3 years left, or whatever it is.
I think he signed the 5 years because he knew he'd get more money if he waited, but that's not going to work out now because of
that's true.
the contract.
Yeah,
but,
you might be right there. Yeah.
But it is something they have to, like, they've got a couple years and they've got to start worrying about either re-signing him or getting rid of him. So the window is still open, obviously, but it's not like you have this endless time to get it done.
I don't know who you replace him with. Jack Eichel?
Who?
Marner.
A lot of people were saying to replace him with Jones.
Yeah, I did see that quite a bit, actually, because Seth Jones wants out.
There's no way you're getting rid of any of those 4. And they've already said that they're not.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's posturing or not, but I don't know. Kyle Dubas gave them all the verbal guarantees that he wouldn't trade them, so.
I think it wasn't Kyle Dubas, or when was Kyle Dubas? Whoever said it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure Toronto said that they weren't interested in John Tavares before they got John Tavares.
Oh, really?
So,
I don't know.
It's the same thing with Montreal Canadiens. Bergevin said that he wasn't going to trade Subban.
Yep.
And like 2 days later, traded Subban.
Yeah.
So
definitely remember that.
I don't trust anyone.
Why do you think Marner performed so badly in the playoffs? He played amazing in the regular season.
All in the head. All emotional.
Okay.
Too much pressure.
From the market.
Way too much pressure from the market, from the Toronto media, from the expectations of trying to finally get the monkey off the back and ruin this trend and actually win a playoff series for the first time since 2004. There's just so much pressure. I think it just crumbled. Too critical of his own play as well. Yeah,
and he's been getting a lot of heat really ever since he signed his contract because they're saying, you're a local boy, you need to take a discount to stay with the team.
I want to say something. I really like Mitch Marner as a person.
Oh,
like
dude,
as a human,
he does charity work that none of you people out there have heard him doing.
I love Mitch Marner.
Yeah.
I don't like talking.
And he's getting hammered too. Like, do you see all the fake stories that came out about him?
Yeah, I did.
Like, one was like he was golfing on Tuesday. Like, no, he wasn't golfing on Tuesday. And then another one came out saying that he wouldn't change his position on the power play unit, which could have only come, like, I was listening to Elliot Friedman talk about this, and he denied the story because, it makes him sound like a bad teammate. But Elliot Friedman's like, the only way you're getting this story is if you're talking to someone in the team, because only internal people would know this, which means that Mitch Marner now has to think that someone in the team is talking bad about him behind his back to reporters.
Yeah.
So he's getting it from the fans. He's getting it from someone in his own organization.
I feel bad for him. But
it's tough in terms of a mental health perspective. Like, this guy is he makes $11 million. The world is his ocean. I get that. But he's still a dude. He's still a kid. So you got to remember that too.
Yeah, he's still human.
Why did the Leafs' success in the regular season not translate to success in the postseason? Again. Like, why are they so good in the regular season and cannot get it done in the playoffs?
I think because in a normal team in the playoffs ups their game. they save a little bit of energy. They put in a little bit more effort. And the Toronto Maple Leafs put all that effort into the regular season.
Do you think
Made
they're
themselves
entitled?
look good? Yes, a little bit.
I think you're right.
Just a little tiny bit. I think
Like,
they're entitled.
These guys, they're young. They came in. They got paid before they did anything.
Specifically Matthews.
Yeah.
I think,
remember that play behind the net? Matthews is
I
smiling.
was just about to mention that.
Yeah, that's a bad look now.
Like, he's smiling and laughing and stuff, which is great. I actually thought that was funny. I kind of liked that he did that.
It was all downhill after that, wasn't it?
But, man, you got to show some grit
Oh,
and some
yeah.
determination to get physical and to fight back. Like, actually fight back instead of laughing at someone. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's toss some knuckles.
Yep.
Like, let's show your team that you're into this.
Yeah.
So I hope we see that next year from Matthews.
Yeah. Last question. Is Jack Campbell your starting goalie going next year, or are you looking for a starter in the offseason? We already know that they're going to be looking for a goalie. It's whether or not they're looking for a backup or a starter, or at least someone to challenge for the starter, because I don't think Anderson's come back. I think most people think that. He's done. So are you comfortable with Jack Campbell being your full-time? He's never played full season games. Like, are you comfortable giving him, 65 games? Or are you looking for someone that potentially could come in as a backup, but is also good enough to challenge for that position?
That's a difficult question to answer because goalies go on streaks.
Yeah.
And Jack Campbell is on a streak.
See, I
heard.
I think my playoff observation of Jack Campbell has improved my opinion of him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he was that good in the regular season.
He was okay.
He had
really good stretches.
He went on a 10-game win streak, but I didn't think he played good in it. There was games he let 4 goals in during that game. They outscored his mistakes.
The team in front of him was amazing. Also, Montreal Canadiens, not the best defensive team.
No, that's right. But in the playoffs, he played great.
He did.
So if you can get, 90% to all of that on average, I think he's fine as a starting goalie.
You know what name I heard? Cam Talbot.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Cam Talbot and Jack Campbell.
Whoa.
2 very hot goalies from this year, but also a little inconsistent. So it could be interesting. But there's also the possibility that Talbot will go to Seattle in the expansion draft. So it's going to be an exciting offseason. There's so much going on. But I don't know. I don't know. I think I said at the end of the day, I still don't know how to answer your question. I feel very conflicted. I don't know what I would do.
I honestly don't know either.
I
don't know who the goalie should be, and I don't know necessarily how you fix this team. Like if
I'm
the
GM, need to
GM,
try again.
That's what I would do. But the fans are rabid right now.
Like me, I'm impatient. So if I was the GM, I'd probably try and trade Marner. But I think the right thing to do,
stay the course.
Again.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I have a question that I want to ask the viewers/listeners.
Oh, I like it.
So you can leave this in the comments on YouTube. And if you feel like emailing me, if you're an audio listener, go ahead. Podcast@postshow.com. Send me an email. If you have to let off some steam, go ahead.
Heck yeah.
I want to ask you guys, as Toronto Maple Leafs fans,
Uh-oh.
is this Game 7 loss to Montreal worse than the collapse to Boston in 2013 for you? I'm not saying in general. I'm saying when you watched Boston do that 4-1 comeback, sorry to laugh, in 2013 versus losing Game 7 to Montreal, which one hurt more?
If you were a Leafs fan, which would hurt more?
Okay, so I was there for the Boston one. That was one of the most epic moments I've ever been in my life.
You were there?
No, I was watching it. I wasn't in the
I
arena.
think you were there.
I was there as in I was there watching it. I experienced it.
I was like, man, you were there. I've never
My
heard this story.
joy was only matched by the negative reverse joy by the Leafs fans.
Negative reverse joy is an amazing term.
Yeah, like it was just the inverse of everything. Like,
yeah.
I can't imagine being a Leafs fan, but from what I understand, this one is worse.
I hear a lot of Toronto Maple Leafs fans saying that this one's worse because
some people are saying that this one took a little chunk of their interest in hockey or the team away.
Yes.
They're not as interested to watch next year.
Yeah,
now.
I've heard a lot of people say that actually. And I think it's because what happened with Boston was just an epic collapse of 10 minutes.
Yes. And a lot of people are saying that collapse was good because it told management that this was not the team to go forward with. And now you have this team, which is definitely a better team.
Yeah.
Losing to the Canadiens right now, that doesn't do anything for you. Unless something major is going to happen and then that turns you into a dynasty or something.
I think it's completely different if Toronto was playing Tampa Bay or an actual good team other than Montreal. I'm a little hard on Montreal, but still. If Tampa came back 3-1 against Toronto, you'd feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah.
But because it's the Montreal Canadiens, a team that probably shouldn't even have been in the playoffs, and that team came back to you, a team that can barely score goals.
There wasn't
That
one.
hurts.
There wasn't one hockey analyst in Canada that predicted Montreal to win. There was a list posted. It was like this long, and every single one of them was Leafs in 5, Leafs in 6, Leafs in 4.
The closest person, I believe, was Eric Engels. He predicted Leafs in 7.
Really?
Yeah. And everyone thought that he was crazy when he posted that. And he was still wrong.
That's brutal.
Amazing.
So I'm going to.
There's more notes.
Oh yeah, we're getting there. I'm gonna leave the Toronto stuff there, but I want to say that I'm going to go easier on Toronto fans from now on.
Okay.
I've been pretty hard on them in this podcast because I like to watch them suffer. I really do.
I do too.
I don't anymore.
I feel bad for them.
I don't anymore. I legitimately feel bad now.
Yeah, because that shouldn't have happened.
Like, I do not like that the media focuses on Toronto so much, which
Yeah.
it does, which is why most people outside of that market don't like the Leafs. It's just how it is.
Mhm.
And the media people in Toronto understand that, but the market is so big that of course they're gonna advertise or talk about the thing that's
They're going to milk it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the biggest audience. Of course they're going to do it. And I understand that. But they're now on the longest drought ever, I think, for losing or not having a Stanley Cup.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Or
You're right.
it's either the longest ever or the longest active now.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I can't remember what it is, but that was a tough loss, and I like to poke and jab. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'll say that, I probably will, but
I've definitely stopped as much.
they're kind of like Buffalo fans now. I legitimately feel bad for Buffalo fans. Like, that's genuine. I absolutely feel for Buffalo. They got bad ownership there. I don't know what that team's doing. I think Toronto has good ownership. I think Toronto has good management. For all reasons, they should have won this series, and they didn't. So,
Yep, I feel bad for them as well.
yeah. So I'm going to lay off. Toronto fans, I feel for you. Now that we're away from that, let's talk about the 4 series that are going on real quick.
Oh yeah, actual hockey that's going on.
Okay, so let's go on. Since we just were talking about Montreal, we'll just do Montreal, Winnipeg first.
Okay.
So Montreal's up 2-0. Who's seen that coming? Not me.
I felt way better about Montreal playing Winnipeg than I did Toronto. Just because Montreal and Winnipeg, they're very similar teams in a way.
And Winnipeg was on that crazy losing streak at the end of the year. Like,
Yeah.
they have flaws.
And
Toronto didn't show those flaws.
Exactly.
And I don't know. So Montreal has not trailed in its past 5 games.
Yeah. And they're on their first 5-game winning streak since 2017.
That's intense.
It's the right time to get hot, but Montreal is even at their worst. Montreal has always been, at least this year, a fairly okay defensive team.
Yep.
So if they
just can't score has been their
just
problem.
can't score.
Yes.
And they're playing Hellebuck.
Although Toffoli's been doing a little bit better lately.
He has. I thought Montreal has had some really good chances in this series offensively, but Connor Hellebuck has been keeping these games from being blowouts in a way, which sounds crazy to say. I'm not expecting it from Connor Hellebuck, but because I'm not expecting the Montreal to be so offensively pushing. But Montreal's looked pretty good in the series. Carey Price's looked pretty good.
Yeah, he got shut out last game.
Shut out last game.
Yeah.
So
And they only scored 1 goal, so played perfect. Had to play perfect.
Yep.
So it sounds like Dylan DeMello likely won't be available for at least a week, according to Paul Maurice. That kind of hurts a little bit.
That could be the rest of the series.
And then for my note here is Pierre-Luc Dubois needs to be better for Winnipeg.
I think he's needed to be better all
That
season.
trade didn't work out for either team.
No.
It's been a dud on both
And I
sides.
think it's up here as well, in Line A and in Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Like everyone was saying, like going into last night's game, like, we got Sheifele out. This is the guy that needs to step up. All eyes are on him, and he didn't have a good game.
No. And
He was just out coasting, it seemed like.
Maybe he feels the pressure too, and maybe he'll settle in now that he's not playing it. No, not that there's fans,
Yeah.
a lot of fans or whatever, but you're in Montreal. You don't have the pressure of the Winnipeg fans there.
Yep.
Hey, maybe he performs a little bit better, so we'll see in Game 3. But they need to do something.
I wonder how much the tickets for these games are going to go for.
Oh, I don't even want to
'Cause-
know.
Do you think they're going to be more or less? I think they're going to be less.
Oh, I think they're going to be more.
Really? Because I would have thought the Game 6 was a one-off. Like, this is the one chance you have all year because it ain't coming back after
they're going
this.
to milk it.
Phew.
Because you want to know why? Because they were sold out instantly.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're like, okay, if these people are going to buy these tickets, I think we could probably make some more money. But do you see what the Leafs did with their fans, though? I don't want to talk about the Leafs again, but they were allowed to have a certain amount of fans in for that Game 7, I think it was.
Yeah, 500.
Every single fan that entered the arena got a free jersey.
Really?
Yep. I thought that was amazing.
And they were all nurses or healthcare workers.
Yeah. shout out to the Toronto Maple Leafs for giving away jerseys for every single person that came in. I thought, and whatever size they wanted as well. Fantastic.
And if you want to send me a jersey, I'll hang it on that net back there. I will literally hang that on the back with it. So Toronto Maple Leafs, send me an email. All right, let's talk about the Boston-New York series.
Yeah.
So Boston's up 2-1 right now. There's a game tonight, which means by the time you hear this tomorrow, it's either going to be 3-1 or 2-2.
Yeah. Who are you cheering for in this series?
I'm going to go for Boston.
Yeah. I figured when you retire. Yeah.
So the first game, Boston won 5-2. New York won overtime 4-3. Game 2, and then Marchand scored in overtime for game 3. So it's been a very close series.
I don't want to talk about it.
Why?
I'm pissed.
Why?
That was a dumb goal.
It was a nice shot, though.
It was, but it was just dumb.
It was a goal that had to be stopped, but it was like a brilliant shot.
He was playing so well in net.
If you stood there and took that shot from that spot and tried to pick that corner, you ain't making that shot. But it's like the one.
I don't understand it, and I'm just angry because that should have been a save.
Yeah,
but it was a nice shot. Like
it was a perfect shot.
I'm not saying it's not. Obviously, it's a perfect shot. I'm just saying.
But from that angle, that's positioning.
Yes,
you weren't set to stop that.
Also, probably wasn't expecting it from that angle.
And I don't even think Marchand was expecting to score there because they were asking him after the game, like, what about your goal? He's like, I don't really know. They always tell you to take shots in overtime, and I guess that one worked out for us. So even he didn't. He was just firing a puck on net. He had nowhere else to go.
He was super excited after he scored.
Oh, dude, it was like, it almost looked like I'm not even gonna go there. It looked like the time they beat the Leafs in 2013.
Oh, okay.
So the series has been very good.
I've actually really enjoyed this series.
It's been physical.
I harp on the Islanders a little bit for being kind of a boring team to watch, but it's been a really fun series to watch.
It's been more physical than you probably thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I anticipated it was going to be physical. I think I said that on the podcast. I said, neither one of these teams really hate each other, but watch out.
Yeah.
And
it's been good.
There's been big hits. Like Carlo's out now. McAvoy laid a big hit on someone there last game too. Like, it's been good.
It's been a really even series. Other than the first game. It's been a really enjoyable, even, just good hockey to watch.
There's been so many overtimes this playoffs.
It's like 21 or something crazy.
It's crazy. It was 18 at one point. I had in my notes and I had to delete it because there's been more and I haven't caught up.
It's at least 20,
which is insane.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
Especially with the way the brackets are going too. Like, it's just like, huh? Like, some of these should be blowouts and some of these aren't. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. Like, parity. What parity?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to the series. I think it's been good.
Yeah. So that game is on. Game 4 is on tonight.
Yep.
At 8:15 our time.
So like I said, by the time you listen to this, I hope something major doesn't happen in this because we're a week away from talking about it.
So if the Boston Bruins win, then they play Carolina or Tampa, right?
No, they're gonna play Colorado or Vegas. Oh no, because Montreal won.
What if Montreal wins?
Heck yeah! Oh, Tampa's scary though too.
Yeah,
Carolina. No, it's scary no matter what. Who you want to play? Do you want to play Tampa? Not really. Do you want to play Colorado? Heck no. Do you want to play Vegas? Heck no. Do you want to play Carolina? Probably not.
Whoever wins between Vegas and Colorado has gotten the biggest gift of life in that conference final against Winnipeg or Montreal. No offense to Winnipeg and Montreal, but they're clearly not the same
no,
playing.
100%.
It's going to be a joke.
100%.
Even if the Toronto Maple Leafs made it to the conference finals against
But if you look at league-wide standings, so I'm not talking like conference or division, I'm talking standings. You've got a 1 playing a 2 out there.
Yeah. This should be the Stanley Cup final.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Second round, and the top 2 teams in the entire league are playing each other, which just shows how crappy that division was too, also on the bottom end of it.
That's true.
All right, Tampa Bay, Carolina. This series has been kind of interesting because it's starting to get a little bit dirty, I find.
It is.
Like, Kucherov laid his shoulder into, I think it was Pesce. It was outside of the play, and Pesce didn't like it. And he got up and got in his face, and they asked about it after, and he's like, I thought it was a little kind of dirty and a little out of the play, but whatever. And I don't know.
I think there's been some questionable refereeing in this series.
What did you think about the overtime penalty?
I thought it was pretty weak.
Holding the stick.
I thought it was pretty weak.
So apparently,
in an overtime,
what a lot of people are thinking it was Carolina was given a poor penalty in the regular time.
This is a makeup call.
And this was a makeup call. And some people say this is the refs flexing their, like, okay, you guys don't like us not calling stuff in overtime, but then when we call it in overtime, you don't like it even more.
Yeah.
So what do you want? Do you want no calls or do you want calls?
It's because it's inconsistent from series to series.
Yes.
And that's the problem. I don't think that should have been a penalty. But I'm really happy it was because I'm cheering for Carolina. So
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to lose. Honestly, I thought they were going to lose. I'm like, oh my God, Carolina's going to get 3-0 to Tampa. There's no way they're going to win this series. Like, Carolina, I predicted you go to the damn finals, and you're down 3-0 against Tampa. I was genuinely pissed. And then they scored. I'm like, heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
This series has been so close. It's been 1-goal games.
Yeah.
2-1, 2-1, and 3-2. 3-2.
Really good
3-2
hockey.
overtime.
Dude, Vasilevsky, oh my God.
Yes.
Vasilevsky has been unbelievable. But Carolina, they went with Mrazek
Yep.
for game 3 instead of Nedeljkovic.
Yep.
I didn't see that coming because I thought that Nedeljkovic was been playing very well. Not that Mrazek.
He's only let 2 goals in a game.
Mrazek also played really well. In that game.
Yeah, totally.
So, who do you go for? I obviously probably Mrazek, based on the fact that he just won a game. But
Yep. Oh, yeah, you got to go with the hot goalie.
Yeah. All right.
Last series, Colorado and Las Vegas, probably the best series that's on right now.
Oh, there's another page.
Oh, yeah, we got another page. We're not done yet, folks.
Yes. Man. Whew. I only watched that game that happened last night, Friday night, this morning. I missed it last night.
Game 3 of that last game is the pinnacle of hockey.
That place.
Was electric. And there's
T-Mobile.
There's people in comments on websites, they're saying, I've been to 100 games, like season ticket holder.
Mm-hmm.
I have never heard the building louder than in that third period last game.
It was awesome. I love that place.
It was just back to back, like constant.
Yeah.
Like that's what you watch hockey for. Like you compare that to the Winnipeg Montreal series, where Montreal's just like setting up like traps and stuff. It's like,
yeah,
this is like
I know
completely. You're not even watching the same game.
It's so enjoyable, and the fans too. Like when a team scores, everyone gets up out of their seat. But in Vegas, everyone's turning around, running up and down the aisles. Like it's like a party. I love it there.
Mm-hmm.
I miss it.
So do we say Colorado's up 2-1? I don't even think we said that.
We didn't actually.
So
Colorado's up 2-1.
Colorado's up 2-1, but they're lucky to be up 2-1 as far as I'm concerned.
The first game was
an absolute blow, 7-1. I thought, wow, they are gonna wipe the floor with Vegas. I didn't think Vegas stood a chance. I thought 5 games you're gonna be done.
After that first game, it's like, man, there's no way.
Yep.
There's no way. But then Colorado, they really kind of faltered in that.
Oh yeah, I think
game.
even game 2.
Yeah.
Game 2, Vegas was the better team.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, Grubauer. Heck yeah, Grubauer. Grubauer is amazing. Okay, folks, that is a Google Home. Just
does it think Grubauer is?
Hey, Grubauer.
Hey.
Okay, it didn't work that time. I'm glad it didn't because this would have been real bad. I'm not editing this either. You know what? You guys get to listen to that Google
That's
Home
right.
talk and just see our look on our faces when that. I don't know why it's plugged in down here. We never use that down here.
We've literally never used that. Also, that scared me
Yeah.
tremendously bad because I was not expecting a lady to be behind me.
Um,
Grubauer, unbelievable.
he is the only reason Colorado is in this.
Some of the saves that he's been making, even in game 2, like
100%.
out of this world.
Yep.
Saves.
And he got a Vezina nod.
Yes, he
And
did.
people were like, huh? Now you see.
There you go.
Now you see on the big stage, everyone gets to appreciate it.
Yep.
Heck yeah, Grubauer.
I love it. Shout out to Grubauer.
So game 3, Vegas outshot Colorado 42-20. Colorado had 20 shots on net and expected to win.
And it's Colorado.
The high in terms of the advanced stats, I have 1.
Okay.
High danger chance is 14-4 for Vegas.
That's significant.
Yeah.
That's a tilt.
This is Grubauer.
Yeah.
And then I have, like what I already said, the building and the fans were electric, and then a very stark difference to the Montreal-Winnipeg game because it absolutely was.
And I don't even want to watch the conference finals. Even if Winnipeg moves on, it's just, I don't know. It's gonna be.
It's gonna be a downgrade.
I'm gonna feel bad for whoever moves on from the Winnipeg Montreal series.
I think, yeah, this is gonna be one of the best series we see in the whole thing.
Yeah,
I think Boston Tampa could be good. I think
Boston Tampa will be amazing.
I think Tampa Islanders could be fine. Like I think
there's history there too.
I think there's matchups that can be good. I agree with you though. The Winnipeg Montreal against whoever, Vegas or Colorado, that's a dud. Like just waiting to happen.
But you know what this leads into? If the stars align.
Yes. There's so much potential.
Hypothetically, if Montreal goes on, we'll say it's Colorado. Montreal somehow beats Colorado.
I like where this is going. This would be great for this podcast.
Somehow Boston beats Tampa or Carolina. It's going to be Montreal versus Boston in this Stanley Cup
How
final.
intense would that be?
And it'll never happen again.
The ratings would be so good.
Yeah.
Like 2 original 6, 2 teams that actually hate each other.
Have had a rivalry for decades. This podcast would be interesting.
Oh yeah. I don't even know how long this podcast. How long do you think this has been going for? I didn't look at the clock. I don't know. I have one last thing.
An hour and a half, I think.
Okay. Well, I was going to skip this, but you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. So if you guys like long podcasts, and
here
you go. And if you don't like long podcasts, then I'm sorry, but we had 10 pages of notes today. I want to ask you if highly paid players prevent team playoff success. I want to have a discussion on this. So Pierre LeBrun put out a tweet earlier this week. This was actually one of the first notes I put in these notes when I did them. So the Habs are the first team in the cap era to win a playoff round with a double-digit AAV player on their roster.
Which is Price.
So ever since the salary cap came into the league, any team or no team with someone who makes $10 million or more has made it to the first round.
Which is a little bit of a deceiving stat because the first player to get more than $10 million, I think, was Carey Price back in 2015.
I have no idea when he signed
16, maybe that. Maybe not, but I mean, the salary cap era has been in a long time.
Yeah,
relatively.
But $10 million players.
$10 million has only been this like little section at the end.
I guess the Suter and Parese's were slightly under 10, right?
Yeah, it's like
they
9.
Like 9. Yeah,
something.
okay. But it's still interesting that you have. There's a fair amount of teams that have.
Yeah.
10 million plus or close to $10 million players.
I mean, you have the list here.
Okay, I'm going to go through the list. I have 16 players here. I'm going to read them. Connor McDavid, Panarin, Matthews, Carlson, Tavares, Doughty, Marner, Taves, Carey Price. That's the first person that's still in the playoffs. Kane, Kopitar, Bobrovsky, Eichel, Sagan, Ovechkin, and Ben. Every single one of those other players is not playing right now.
So, but all these players, not everyone here makes above 10 million.
No, these are the top 16 paid players in order of salary.
Yeah.
So out of the top 16 highest paid players in the league, only one of them is alive, and he's a goaltender.
Yeah, that's interesting, though.
So that gets back to my question.
And
can you not have playoff success if you pay these people these big contracts?
Well, here, I will note this. Drew Doughty got his contract after he won a Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Jonathan Toews got his big contract after he won a Stanley Cup. Same with Patrick Kane, same with Anze Kopitar.
That's a big difference between the Toronto guys.
Yes, big difference. So, but you're right. There's only one of the 16 still alive, and it's Carey Price, and he's a goaltender.
Yep.
So I don't necessarily know how to answer your original question.
It's interesting.
It is interesting. I think that's what I can say. It's interesting. And
then here's a comparison. I have two teams with their first line.
Oh, good, because I was about to mention Boston.
Okay, so Boston has Marchand 6.125, Bergeron 6.87, Pastrnak 6.66. That entire line, the top line of the Boston Bruins, is $19.6 million. And you've got players like Connor McDavid. What is he, 13?
Oh, I don't even know.
I think he's 13. You got Matthews.
Marner Matthews
Marner are 11. So the two of them are 22 just for the two of them.
Yeah.
Colorado Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon, I mean, his contract looks like a joke right now.
It does.
6.3. Landeskog 5.57 and Rantanen 9.25. They're $21 million, so $2 million more. Yeah. So again, Colorado's top line, especially with the last series, is absolutely crushing at these playoffs. Those three players are cheaper than having Matthews and Marner play together for Toronto.
That's why I didn't like the McDavid contract. Obviously it's Connor McDavid, but
he took a discount. They said,
yeah,
it was like 12 point some, almost $13 million, and it was a discount. He could have because no player's ever made the max. You're allowed 15% of the cap, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But I don't know.
Sure, you're the best player in the world. You're entitled to that money, but at the same time, you have to have people around you that can get the job done. And especially now with this cap not going up,
yeah.
Whew.
I just thought it was a little selfish because a player like that could make way more than that just win sponsorships outside of that. So I understand he's got to protect himself and whatnot, but still, because that's guaranteed money for a long time, where a sponsorship might not be. A trick that could drop you at any time.
Yep.
If you say the wrong thing.
Oh yeah,
but
it happens a lot lately.
Yeah, but still, yeah, shot in the foot a little bit.
So anyway, that's just something to.
That's it.
Some food for thought while we end this podcast.
That's all the notes. Once again, I apologize for not remembering the face paint thing. I was really looking forward to it. And I
totally forgot.
So we will try and implement that in next podcast. I'll have to put it in the notes maybe or something. The next one.
Yeah, after when I erase these, maybe I'll put it as the first bullet.
Yeah, but that'll happen. And if you're not aware, maybe you're new. We made a bet that if the Montreal Canadiens beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, that Jason here we would paint a Montreal Canadiens logo on his entire face, and he would.
It went from a face tattoo, and now it's paint.
Now it's paint. Yeah,
because It's just how it goes.
Yeah. So that was what you're missing out, unfortunately. But we'll do it. I promise we will do it. So thanks, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. Please leave us a review on iTunes if you're watching or if you're listening to us over there through Apple. Or if you're watching on YouTube, would love it if you could comment down below. Let us know your thoughts with the playoffs and all the hockey news in the world. And hit the subscribe button as well. Hit the like button. All that stuff helps. Hope you guys are having a really good weekend. And we'll talk to you real soon. Adios.